Allah had turned it upside down, and then Allah rained on them with some stones from Sijil, from the hellfire. And Allah sent to the people of Shu'aib, He said the clouds of punishment. So the reason of calamities is the sins. Whenever it happens to people, to nations, it will destroy it. And when it happens to the heart, then it will destroy it. And in a nation, it will humiliate it. And in souls, it will corrupt it. And whatever calamity you have, it is because of what you have done. And Allah forgives a whole bunch, a whole lot. That's because Allah will not change a bounty that He give on people until they change what's among them, what's in their souls. So if you have a bounty from Allah, take care of it and don't sin against Allah, because the sins are destroying the. Allah give the example of Allah give an example of a nation that were destroyed because their disobedience to Allah. And also Allah Azza wa Jal reduced the sustenance on people, and they stopped the rain from the heavens, and to put the oppressors on people. In the Sunan of Ibn Majah, that the Prophet ﷺ said, people did not play with the scale, they will take with the droughts and the high prices and the oppression of the rulers in them, and did not stop the zakah charity, and they will be stopped the rain from the heavens. And if it was not for the animals, they will not see the rain. And in the hadith that we all know, that the nations are about to come on you just like the beast on its meal. And we said, "Oh Prophet of Allah, is it because we are little?" He said, "No, you are a whole bunch, you are a lot. But you are just like the foam on the sea, on the flood, or on the rain. And Allah will put the one in your hearts." And they asked, "What is the one?" He said, "To love this life and to hate the hereafter." And this is the time that we see that the Muslims are the weakest ever. So what is the reason where we have all these calamities? What did we do where we became in the tail of nations? It is the sins against Allah, not taking care of the orders of Allah, leave what Allah obligated and do what Allah has forbid. Two things that the all mankind and the jinn also were asked. Iblis was ordered to prostrate and he refused. And Adam, he were ordered not to eat from the apple tree or the tree, and he ate from the fruit of that tree. So the reflection of those sins is very big. If we took the hadith, the previous hadith, or the micros, there are 5 characters that ask Allah Azza wa Jal that you will not reach him. That when the adultery is widely spread, then they will be having diseases that did not exist before. And no time that people played with the scale, they will have the droughts and the oppression of the rulers. And people never stopped the zakah, they will be prevented from the rain from the heavens. If it was not for the animals, they will not see the rain. And no nation that betrayed the covenant, Allah will find an enemy that will destroy them. And those who did not, their leader did not rule by the book of Allah, Allah will make them fight within each other. The scholars they mentioned 40 uh, 40 bad effects of the sins on humans. The first one is the prevention of knowledge. Knowledge, it is a light that Allah sent in the heart, and the sin, it will distinguish that light. I mentioned to you when Al Imam Shafi'i he stood in front of Malik, and he liked what he found of his sharpness and his smartness. He said, "Oh my son, see that Allah put a light in your heart. Don't distinguish it with the sins." And also, Allah will stop the sustenance, the hardness in getting money and in living in the authentic hadith that the person will be prevented the sustenance because of a sin that he have done. So leaving the piety, it will bring poverty. Nothing can bring the sustenance of Allah more than leaving the sins and asking the repentance from Allah. As Allah said in the Quran, if you repent, one of the effects of asking for forgiveness out of rain and strength and money and other things that Allah has promised. And also with the sins, you find some loneliness in the heart. You find yourself away from Allah, and there is nothing equal to that sin. There is no, uh, there is nothing more sweet than knowing Allah Azza wa Jal, to know Allah the Almighty, to have that connection with Allah. If you are prevented from knowing Allah, you are prevented from a lot. If you are having that shyness from Allah, then you will stay away from all the sins. You only stay away from the sins if you are God conscious. And also the loneliness that people have between themselves and other people. You find walls between you and others, and every time non-scamming happen, you will be prevented from knowing the scholars and knowing the people of the that remember Allah, and you find yourself closer to the people of the shaitan. And the more you sin, the more you closer you get to the people of evil, until that separation happens between a person and his family, until he does it with himself, where he feel awkward with himself. And all of that is reflects of the sins. And Abu Darda said, let a person be careful that the hearts of the Muslims cuss him and curse him, and he's not aware. They said, you know why? He said, the person, he stay, that a person might do sin when he is lonely, and then Allah will put his hatred in the hearts of the believers where he is not aware of, and might not have an instant reflect, and a person think that if you don't see it instantly, that he was forgiven, that Allah forgot him, and that time forget him. And how many people were destroyed because of that thinking? How many bounties that they were gone because people are unaware, and they think, or they're deceived that they think Allah has forgiven them, or he forgot about them, even though they have sinned against Allah. But it will have the same effect, just like the poison on the body, that the and you'll see the effect of the poison all of a sudden. Imam Ahmad said, pray Allah as you seen him, as if you are among the dead, and know that a little bit that is sufficient. It is better than a whole bunch that will make you distract you. And know that the sin will not be forgotten, and the deed will eventually be rewarded for. And the scholar, they used to say, "Oh Allah, don't make the enemies make fun of me." And he is making himself vulnerable for the enemies of Allah, and by disobeying Allah. Whomever betrayed Allah in secrecy, Allah will expose his defaults or flaws publicly. One of the scholars said, "I sin against Allah and I see how my animals react to me and my wife and my family." Because those who fear Allah, Allah make easy for him in all his matters. And those who do not fear Allah, Allah will give them hardship. Allah said in the Quran, whomever fear Allah or God conscious, Allah will make all his issues ease. And on the other hand, if you disobey Allah, then you find that things are closed in front of you, and you don't know where you were coming from. But it is because of your sin, and this is a mercy from Allah to the. So Allah will bring you back to believe in Him and to humiliate yourself to Allah, to submit to Allah, to accept what Allah has given you. Like the darkness at night, it will hit the heart of those who sin against Allah, those who disobey Allah. Because obedience is light and the sin is darkness. And every time that sin is hard, the darker the sin, the more darker it will be in his heart. And he will be just like a blind person who was taken out in the darkness of the night and walking by himself. You think he is safe? Who is going to help him? The Sheikh has recited a poetry that one of the blind people who said, who's going to save him in the darkness of the night? That every night has an end, but my darkness, is forever, it's eternal. So this darkness, it become very dark until it comes to the face and the eyes. Ibn al-Hasan used to say there is a light for the good deed and in the heart, and open in sustenance and strength in the body, and love in the heart of people. And the sin has the opposite. It has darkness in the heart and in the grave, and it will give sickness to the body, and it will put hatred in people's hearts toward the person who sinned against Allah. Astaghfirullah. Oh Allah, prevent your punishment from us. Also, from the effects of the sins, that you are not able to do good deeds, and that by itself is a big effect that people need to be understand the severity of that. Every obedience to Allah is better than everything in this life. And I give you an example. Someone who ate something and give him a disease that he could not do eat a lot of other things that is better. So the effect of this sin that stopped a lot of good deeds that the person could have enjoyed and he would be happy with it. But because he fell in the sins and indulged himself in the sins. They say that the sins they keep accumulating and it will bring others just like it. And they keep multiplied where the person cannot leave that sin. Some of the previous generation they said one of the reflects of a bad deed is another deed that you accumulate, but Allah give you the reward with the obedience by allowing you to have another obedience. You will find all good deeds they fall and they multiply when a person indulge in good deeds, and that's also the order of the sin. The more you sin, the worse you will be get. The more you get under, you find yourself indulging in the sins and the darkness. So if you find that your chest is tight on you, and you feel like the fish out of the water, it's just because you are staying away from the obedience of Allah, and you need to stop sinning against Allah and His orders, and ask for repentance and rush to the obedience of Allah so you could get the happiness back in your soul. They say a lot of the disobedience people the Sheikh is given the example just like the drugs they get that small enjoyment, but after that, after they are addicted to it, they are afraid of all the bad effects of the drugs. Someone who was an alcoholic, he said a poetry. He said the first drink I used to drink it because I used to enjoy, but the second one it was a medicine for the first one because of the headache and the illness that you get from it. So my medicine was my illness. The servant of Allah still doing the good deeds and he loves them and prefer it over other things until Allah the Almighty send out of His mercy the angels to push him to good deeds and to encourage him to do the good deeds and to make him away from his place. And disobedient, he still prefer the sins until Allah sends the shayateen, the devils, to push him into disobedience of Allah, to misery. And Allah said in the Quran that don't you see how we send the evils uh, push their allies? Don't be saddened for them, we are counting everything they do. So the strongest person is the one who force himself to the obedience of Allah. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to prevent us from this humiliation. Another misery for the disobedience of Allah, that you love and it become routine. You Allah takes that's the misery of that sin from your heart. He don't feel bad when people see him indulge in that sin. And this is for those who are disobedient, the ones who are addicted to sins. Just like the the actors or actresses who wants everybody on earth look at him. He likes to expose himself on the sins that he did, to look at his private parts. And some of them he enjoy the sins and he talk about it. Those who do not know that he have done it. In the past, people used to talk about the sin, and there's and now you find people put everything on YouTube and it's spread everywhere in seconds. These kind of people, they will not have the health in their soul. Allah's messenger said that all my followers are going to be healed except those who expose their sins. Allah will close the gates of heaven. If Allah covers a sin that you have done, don't wake up in the morning and go and expose yourself where Allah Azza wa Jalla has covered that sin. Allah is covering you and you're exposing Allah. You're exposing what you have done on the creations of Allah. Every sin is a reflection of some of the things that happened to previous nations. The And the Shaykh is mentioning the nations that Allah destroyed before us, those who commit this sexual misconduct, and the people who mess with the scale, and all types others. So some of those who disobey Allah Azza wa Jal are doing the same thing of the enemies of Allah, and they are exposing it on everybody. Someone said to Abdul Malik ibn Dinar, one of the scholars, that Allah has inspired one of the people of Israel not to enter or the places of my enemies, nor to ride with them, nor to eat with them, nor to wear their clothes. Because if they did, they will be my enemies just like the other people are my enemies. And in the hadith of Abdullah ibn Amr, the Prophet ﷺ said, I was sent with the sword before the hour where Allah's will be until Allah's word is superior. And everyone who will try to look like other nations, he will be like them. He will be among them. So some of the reflects of the sins that Allah humiliate them. They have no weight with Allah. Allah has no honor with them. If Allah humiliated someone, no one can dignify him. No one can support him. Even if people try to say something nice to them because they are afraid of them, or they are want something from them, they still be humiliated, and there will no supporters. Allah refuse except to humiliate those who disobey him. And also that the servant, he still do the sin until it become easy for him, and it becomes so routine, and this is the sign of destruction, because the sin, every time that it is small in the eye of the servant, it will be high in the eye of Allah. The Muslim might see his sins as if they are on a mountain on top of his head. He's afraid that's gonna fall on him. And this obedience person, or the person who This belief in Allah Azza wa Jal, whenever he sins, whenever he do something, it's like a fly came on his face, and he wipe it and he push it away. But the reflex of the sins, it will always accompany those who sins, no matter what garment they have or what happiness they might show. The ideal dignity is when you follow Allah's order. You only get the dignity if you obey Allah Azza wa Jal. That's why some of the scholars used to ask Allah Azza wa Jal to honor him with his obedience and not to humiliate him because of his sin. And we have mentioned the words of Abdullah ibn Mubarak, may Allah have mercy on him, when he said, I've seen the sins kill the heart, and it will bring humility. And the best thing for you is to disobey yourself when it comes to sinning against Allah. The sins, it will destroy the heart, the brains. There is a light for the heart, for the brain. If you distinguish that light in your brain, you cannot see anymore. That's why the disbelievers, they have hearts that they don't understand. They're like the blind and who's deaf and dumb. He is not. He can still see. He is responsible. Allah said that you are responsible for all your heart, your sight, and your hearing. So what's the use of your ears if it doesn't guide you to take you to Islam, to make you join the salvations? What's the goodness of your sight if you are not guided? If you don't know that the guidance that came from your Lord, is it the same like the one who sinned and they are blind? They are not equal, those who could see and those who are blind, and those who are deaf. Who are dead, and those who are alive. They are not equal. You will not let those who are in the graves. You cannot make them hear. If your brain was really active, then that will stop you from sinning against Allah, because that kind of person is God conscious. He knows that God is watching over him. His angels are looking at him. The one you miss from the sins is more than the enjoyment that you get for a few seconds. So how could you think lightly of the sin? How could someone who is fully aware of Allah uh, sin against Allah and know the effects of it on your soul, on yourself? How could you eat from the sister of Allah and you breathe from His air, and you are eating from the sister that Allah gave you, and you have the body that Allah gave you, and you still have the guts to disobey Allah Azza wa Jal? Only those who are foolish will do that. That sins will cover the hearts. The sin multiply on the heart. Those who gained a sin and his sin covered him, these are the people of the hellfire, and they are there forever. You don't want your heart to be covered with the sins, with the darkness. If that happen, it will be thereon after the sight of Allah, and then the heart will flip. It'll be flipping. It'll be flipping, and will not know any goodness except what he follow his own desires. And also the other reflex of sins that will put you under the curse of Allah and His Messenger, or the because the Prophet ﷺ, he has cursed some of the sins. The Prophet ﷺ, he cursed the one who do the tattoo, and those who do the palm reading and all this, and those who change the beauty, the creation of Allah, and the ones who take, and the ones who drink, and the ones who prepare it, and those who sells it, and those who buys it, and those who benefit from the money, and the ones who lift it, and those who taken to, and those who curse their own parents or something, who he is he take pictures of the things that has a soul, and the woman who looks like men, and vice versa, and those who, and the Sheikh mentioned like the act of the people of the Lut, or those who cursed their parents, and those who had adultery with an animal, or those who put a tattoo on their face, and those who make houses on the graves, and someone who did the anal thing with his wife, or those who, and the woman who disobey her husband, or at night, and those who claim that he is son of somebody else besides his parents, and those who curse his companions. There's so many examples and others. You know what does it mean? That's meaning that you are kicked out of the mercy of Allah. So those who are sin, they are out of Allah's mercy unless they repent. They are exposed to that means that they are exposed to be out of the mercy of Allah, and they are under the will of Allah. Allah does not forgive that He will be partners with, but He forgives anything else beyond that if He wish. So those who have sinned, they are under the mercy of Allah. He could either punish them or He forgives them. And Allah cursed those who accuse the women falsely, and those who made the path of the disbelievers better than the Muslims, and the women wear the clothes of the man, and vice versa, and those who take bribery. So many things. If we talk about it, it will take us hours. And we said that cursing meaning that you are out of the mercy of Allah. So who could accept to be out of the mercy of Allah? To put yourself in that danger and be among those that the Prophet ﷺ has cursed or cursed. And also you are prevented from the dua of the Prophet ﷺ to the believers, and the dua of the angels to them. Allah ordered the Prophet ﷺ to ask forgiveness for the believing men and women. Allah said, ask Allah's forgiveness for yourself and for the believers, men and women. For those who repent to Allah, who follow the book of Allah and His Messenger and the Sunnah of His Messenger. So you should not be seeking anything beside the dua of the Prophet for forgiveness. After all of this, after this journey that we have about the effects of the sins, I hope that is a reminder for all of us that will awaken us from our unawareness and make us awake. Isn't it sad? Some people do not enter the masjid except when they pray on him, and some of the women, she will not cover herself except when she's dead. All her life she is exposing her body and nothing could cover her except when they cover her in death. They don't know how to go to the masjid except when they come taken on the shoulders of men and then to the cemetery. The journey of life is very short. No matter how long it is very short. Now you're listening to the news and you'll become a news later on. You start the journey of life from the back of the father to the wombs of the mother, and from her womb to the surface of earth, and from the surface of earth to the bottom of earth, and to the day of explosion, the day of judgment. And each stage, then you at the end you either go to the heaven or to the hellfire. We ask Allah to make us awake from this unawareness. Those who have people when they who have jobs, they go to their job on time, and to the airport before its time, and to the hospital before its time. But when it comes to the masjid, they say, "Oh, they have excuses." No, indeed, you love this life. You'll find a lot of people do not know or do not believe. And a few of my servants who are uh, they don't listen. So I'll be among those who are little, that from a servant who are grateful. They're a little bit from the previous. I mean, they're a lot from the before and a little bit from the end. May Allah make us among those who are guided and to accept from us. آمين. آمين. ناخذك الدي بي اي.
ممن تقبلت صلاتهم وركوعهم وسجودهم يا رب العالمين. اللهم أصلح لنا في ذرياتنا إنا تبنا إليك وإنا من المسلمين. اللهم اغفر لنا ولوالدينا ووالديهم وأصحاب الحقوق علينا. أبدلهم دارا خيرا من دارهم وأهلا خيرا من أهلهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم آمين. وصل اللهم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. جزاكم الله خيرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.